talk, you know.
Ready? Hi, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Good. How are you?
Your Honor, we'd like to call Laura Amber Heard to the stand.
All right.
Amber Laura.
You solemnly swear or affirm to testify truthfully in this case and penalty of law.
I do. All right, thank you. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. Will you please state your name?
Yes, it's Amber Laura Heard.
Why are you here?
I am here because my ex-husband is suing me for an op-ed I wrote.
And how do you feel about that?
I struggle to have the words. I struggle to find the words to describe how painful this is. This is horrible for me to sit here for weeks and relive everything. Hear people that I knew, some well, some not. My ex-husband, with whom I shared a life, speak about our lives in the way that they have. This is the most painful and difficult thing I've ever gone through, for sure.
Now, there was...
I had to write, I think I gave 7 witness statements under oath testimony. I sat on the stand for 4 days under mostly cross-examination. And up until this point, it was the hardest thing I had ever had to do. We talked about books and music, poetry. We liked a lot of the same stuff, obscure writers and, interesting books and pieces of poetry that I hadn't heard anybody else reference or know or like. And he was very well-read and charismatic. And, I think I left the office with a few books that he gave me. And we spent the whole time just talking about things that we care about. And I was so surprised that somebody, I knew who he was. I wasn't familiar, I wasn't a fan of his work. I wasn't familiar with him, but I knew who he was. He's one of the most famous people in the world. So it was already a weird thing to go and get called into his office. And, I'm a no-name actor. I was 22, I think. And I thought it was unusual. It was weird because he was twice my age and he's this world famous actor, and here we are getting along about obscure books and weird, old blues, and I thought it was remarkable. I thought it was unusual and remarkable. We didn't really have a whole lot of interaction on set until we did a scene that involved kissing. We had a kissing scene, and it didn't feel like a normal scene anymore. It felt more real. There are certain things that you do in the job to be professional, like when you have to do that sort of scene, and you don't you don't use your tongue if you can avoid it. There's certain things that you do to just maintain a certain line, and it just felt like those lines were blurred. I mean, I'll never forget it. It changed my life. I was sitting on the couch, and we were talking. We were having like a normal conversation, just there was no fighting, no argument, nothing. And he was drinking, and I didn't realize at the time, but I think he was using cocaine because it was like there was a jar of cocaine out on the table. I realize that sounds weird, but it was like an actual vintage jar of it. But I didn't see him use it at the time, so I didn't really factor that in. I just, he's drinking and we're talking, and there's music playing, and he's smoking cigarettes, and we're sitting next to each other on the couch. And I asked him about the tattoo he has on his arm. And to me, it just looked like black marks. I didn't know what it said. It just looked like muddled, faded tattoo that was hard to read. And I said, what does it say? And he said it says wino. It says wino. And I didn't see that. I thought he was joking because it didn't look like it said that at all. And I laughed. It was that simple. I just laughed because I thought he was joking. And slapped me across the face. Second slap, I know he's not kidding, but I don't know what else to say or do, so I just stared at him. I didn't say anything. I didn't react. I didn't move or freak out or defend myself or say, what are you doing? You're crazy. I just stared at him because I didn't know what else to do. And he slaps me one more time. Hard. I lose my balance. At this point, we're sitting next to each other on the edge of the couch, or I was on the edge of the couch. And I'm all of a sudden realizing that the worst thing has just happened to me that could possibly happen to you. I realized that I wish so much he had said he was joking. Because it didn't hurt. It didn't physically hurt me. I was just sitting there on this carpet, looking at the dirty carpet, wondering how I wound up on this carpet and why I never noticed that the carpet was so filthy before, and I just didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to react. I just sat there thinking, how much time do I have till I figure out what I need to do? Because, God, did he just hit me? No, I didn't want to leave him. I didn't want this to be the reality. I didn't want to have the man I was in love with. I know you don't come back from that. I'm not dumb. I know you can't hit a woman. You can't hit a man. You can't hit anyone. You can't just hit somebody because I knew it was wrong, and I knew that I had to leave him. And that's what broke my heart, because I didn't want to leave him. I thought if I got up out of that room, I'd leave the best thing that ever happened to me. And I wish I could sit here and say I stood up and I walked out of that house and I drew a line and I stood up for myself. But I was just looking at the dirty carpet trying to will myself to get up, to walk out of the door because I knew I needed to. And I really slowly, I stood up, and I remember looking at him in the eye and just looking at him, frankly, because I didn't know what else to do. And before I know it, he starts crying. And, I had never seen an adult man cry. I didn't even really see my dad cry at my grandma's funeral. It's weird. And he's crying. Tears, just falling out of his eyes. He gets down on his knees and he grabs my hands and he's touching my hands and he's saying to me, I will never do that again. I'm so sorry, baby. I put the fucker away. I thought I killed it and it's done. I thought I put the monster away and I've done it before. It's done. That is the love of my life. And he was, but he was also this other thing. And that other thing was awful.
awful thing that would come out and take over, and it was, you couldn't see the Johnny I loved underneath it. It was this other thing. And no one told him. No one was honest with him. No one, he'd pass out in his own vomit. He'd lose control of his body, he'd lose control, and everyone would clean up after him. I cleaned up after him. I mean, this man lost control of his bowels, and I cleaned up after him. His security cleaned up after him, changed his pants in front of me. He would pass out in his own sick. And then he'd walk around saying he didn't have a problem. Until he did. Until he couldn't support it anymore, and he'd get clean, and he'd get sober, and then he was this thing again. This thing that made me feel so loved, that made me feel like my soulmate. As cheesy as that sounds, I just felt like he knew me. And I recognized something in him, either some part of my makeup and my background or something, that I just got it. And I loved him and understood him. It just got so scary, the other part of him. Better. And he expressed to me so many times when he was in that period of getting clean and sober, he would tell me, "You saved my life. Baby girl, you saved my life." Everyone else was saying that to me, and I believed it. If everyone else was saying it, he was saying it. I thought, just like his other friends who had gotten clean and sober and stayed that way, his older friends, these rock stars that he hung out with that had gotten clean and sober and they had 20, 30 years, something, I thought, and Johnny told me he would be that person, that he was going to be that person, and I believed it. I finally met them in the summer of 2013. I had been with Johnny for over a year, maybe like a year and a half at this point, is my best guess. And I was dying to meet them, dying to get to know these kids. I felt like I knew them already. I had his daughters, and Jack's, both of his kids' art on my fridge, and I had never even met them. Johnny had brought them over one day and kindly given them to me, and I had them up on my fridge because I felt like I knew them, just how much he talked about them. And I finally got to meet them at the Lone Ranger premiere at Disneyland. The flight attendant, Johnny offered her some. She, of course, said no. And then after some back and forth between them, Johnny convinced her that it would be fine. So she acquiesced and took MDMA with us. Flight attendant got friendly with me, but just friendly, just like MDMA friendly, was kind of, I'm a woman, he's a man, so she was naturally, I think, more comfortable with me physically. She kind of leaned into me and kind of sat on the arm of the chair I was sitting in. I mean, after all, she's on drugs, and Johnny grabs her hand and tells her not to touch me, and she kind of reacts in a way like she's defending herself and was trying to clarify, and he grabbed her by the wrist and slammed it down on the table and told her he could break her wrist. Well, at the time, I understood he had a particular thing, a sensitivity about me and women, because I had had a female partner. Johnny on speed is very different from Johnny on opiates. Johnny on opiates very different from Adderall and cocaine Johnny, which is very different from Quaaludes Johnny. Something that had been sent to me to consider auditioning for, and he blew up at me for, I think
What he said to me is that I didn't tell him, that I didn't ask him, and that because he didn't know about that audition that I hadn't done yet, that I had been hiding it, and was furious at me. I ended up not doing that audition, I believe. Well, there was a few. Well, Johnny said this to me in an argument, in a fit of rage, is the best way I can describe it, and kind of alluded to me having agreed to not work anymore, which if you don't know me, is preposterous. There's no way I would agree to that. He would word it to me like, I'm trying to look out for you. You know, you say that you don't want to be objectified, but you're doing it to yourself. You know, but at first it was because I dressed a certain way or had sex scenes, and then it just got more narrow and more narrow and more narrow what I could do without being the blame for why the industry, Hollywood, the entertainment industry, was putting me in a box and objectifying me. So it became my fault. I mean, I believed it. You know, I believed it. I adopted a lot of these changes myself, not because Johnny, you know, said you have to do it this way, but because of all the other things that he said and did, I eventually found myself making decisions about my own career, about how I dressed, about how I wore my hair, how I presented, where my eyes were cast when I walked into a room. And I believe those were my own decisions. In Johnny and I's relationship, it was always so much worse when I went away to work. That's when problems started. I loved this man so much. And it was so toxic. And for some reason, I couldn't get him to not hurt me. I could. And it seemed like I was hurting him. But we loved each other so much. At least I loved him so much. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with this relationship. Whitney, my sister, all of a sudden put herself in between Johnny and I. She just threw herself like in the line of fire or whatever. She just all of a sudden was there and was trying to get Johnny to stop. Her back was to the staircase, and Johnny swings at her, and I just see my little sister with her back to the staircase, and Johnny swings at her, and I don't even wait for any other, I don't hesitate, I don't wait, I just in my head instantly think of Kate Moss and the stairs, and I swung at him. In all of my relationship to date with Johnny, I hadn't landed a blow. And I, for the first time, hit him. Like, actually hit him. Square in the face. He didn't push my sister down the stairs. And all my time of being in that relationship to that point, hadn't even landed one on Johnny. Sure, I had tried to fight back, threw my arms, flailed my arms, hit whenever I could to try to block blows myself, but never landed anything. And Johnny kind of looked stunned and then laughed at me and then lunged at me again. And before I know it, security stepped in between us and pulled Johnny away. He said, "Oh, you really want to go now, tough guy?" Shoved me back down. "Oh, you really want to go, huh? Oh, you're so tough." I stood back up again. This time he hits me in the face. I stand back up and look him right in the eyes. And it was just a really still moment. I'll never forget it. Really still. I stood up and he said, "You want to go again, tough guy?" And I just looked right at him, just looked right at his face. And he balled up his fists, leaned back, and headbutted me square in the nose. Just right as I stood in front of him. I was a foot from him. Just slammed me right in the nose. Instantly, searing pain. It's one of the few memories I have in this long relationship that I actually remember the physical pain in that moment, just searing. I got worried that I wouldn't be able to hide the bruising and swelling. But I iced it all night, and the next day checked in the mirror to see if I could get away with it, meaning hiding it, so I could make an appearance. And I gambled and thought maybe I could pull it off. I had my hair and makeup team come, and they worked around it, meaning worked around the lesions on my head with the hairspray, because that stings, and worked around the bruising by covering it with heavier makeup than normal bruise covering makeup. And I remember my lip was still bleeding and swollen, so we did this like really thick, super heavy, matte red lipstick. I remember very well at the time that we had no choice in color, and that was one of my favorite colors to wear, and this occasion we had no choice because nothing else would hide my busted lip. He's punching me with a closed fist, punching me repeatedly. And I don't remember even feeling the pain. I just remember the sound of Johnny's voice. He got next to my ear and he was screaming over and over and over again. Each time it sounded louder and more desperate. "I fucking hate you. I fucking hate you. I fucking hate you." Over and over. "Fucking hate you." And then pounding the back of my head, pounding it with his fist. And I don't even remember feeling pain. I just could hear myself scream until I couldn't hear myself anymore. I could just hear him say that he was going to kill me. And that he sounded like an animal in pain when he was saying that he fucking hated me. He sounded like he was almost crying, or something in his voice was different. He sounded different, he sounded like he was in agony. It was high-pitched and loud. And I don't know how many times he just hit me over and over and over again, and I got really still. And it felt in my body like quiet. And I thought, this is how I die.
How do you remember the first act of violence?
Well, you never forget it. That's how I remember it. It changes your life forever. You never forget the first time someone hits you like that. I just had the date wrong.
Okay. And how is it that you think you got the date wrong?
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled.
I'm embarrassed to say I think I would have liked to have believed that the period of time in which I had to fall in love with Johnny, in which we fell in love, and he was sober, and he wasn't violent to me, lasted for a lot longer than it did. I think I would have liked to have believed that I wasn't hit so early in the relationship and still stayed. He was also sober for a period in 2012, which was a peaceful time for us, in which we fell in love. So I had kind of allowed myself, I guess, to forget that the beginning of that period, 2012, before he got sober, was really violent and chaotic as well. I'm embarrassed to say that.
When you filed the domestic violence temporary restraining order, how many acts of abuse did you allege at that time?
I gave the last couple, I believe, last two incidents, maybe three.
And why didn't you tell of all the acts of abuse at that time?
I was following advice from my counsel.
Okay. How many instances of abuse were included in the UK trial?
There were 14 acts of physical abuse and violence and 3 acts of sexual abuse. Violence.
And why were those 17 included in the UK trial?
Well, I was not a party, a direct party. I was a witness, so it was whatever their counsel, the Sun counsel, chose.
Okay.
I looked at my therapist notes. I had the benefit of those notes, which we had received in February, as well as I reviewed calendars, photos, text messages, my journals, my diaries, of which there were many. I put all of those together. It took a lot of time to be able to, adequately refresh my recollection and fill in the details over the course of the 5 years we were together.
And what did you do when you put that all together?
I kind of filled in and collected all of these various pieces of information and gave a fuller account as best I could for each incidents of violence that I had record of. I think it was called an interrogatory.
Ms. Heard, you testified to an incident in March of 2013 where Mr. Depp hit you in the face multiple times. Do you recall that?
That's correct.
And you testified, quote, "You don't know how many times he hit you in the face."
That's correct.
So Mr. Depp hit you in the face multiple times while he was wearing rings on this occasion, correct?
Which occasion in March are you referencing? You weren't
The
specific.
testimony that you gave on day 15 of this trial, March of 2013. You weren't specific as to the day.
There were several incidents.
The one where he hit you several times in the face.
I'm sorry, just so I understand better. There were several incidents in March. Which one are you asking me about?
The time that he hit you several times in the face wearing rings.
Well, he pretty
in
much
March
always.
of 2013.
Right.
Permission to admit Exhibit 1253 and publish it.
All right, so moved. 1253 in evidence.
This is a picture of you and Mr. Depp at the event the night after Mr. Depp allegedly whacked you in the face so hard you thought he had broken your nose.
He did whack me in the face, and I did think it broke my nose.
And this is you the night after.
Yes, it is.
Let's please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1254. This is also a picture of you at the same event, correct, Ms. Heard?
That is correct.
Move to admit Plaintiff's Exhibit 1254.
All right, 1254 in evidence. You can publish. Thank you.
And just to confirm now that the jury can see it, this is a picture of you at the same event, the night after Mr. Depp allegedly whacked you in the face so hard you thought he broke your nose.
This is a picture of me after he did whack me in the face.
The night after, right?
Yes, it is. I believe it was the night after, yes.
Your nose doesn't appear to be injured in any of these pictures, does it, Ms. Heard?
I'm wearing makeup.
Your nose doesn't appear to be injured in any of these pictures, does it, Ms. Heard?
That's why I'm wearing makeup.
Right. And makeup covers up swelling, right?
Makeup will not cover up swelling. Ice will, though.
Ice will cover up swelling?
Ice reduces swelling. Normally the swelling after that kind of injury is not as bad as you might imagine. And for me, it wasn't that bad. I have a picture of it underneath the makeup. That's how I know how to reference it.
A picture you haven't produced or shown to
did.
this jury, right, Ms. Heard?
I produced everything.
But you haven't shown it to this jury.
I would very much like to. It's not my job.
So in this October 2018 interview, you said that you had, quote, donated, end quote, your entire divorce settlement to charity, right?
That's correct.
And in fact, your exact words were, quote, $7 million in total was donated to, I split it between the ACLU and the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, end quote, right?
That's correct. I made that statement as soon as I got a divorce and we reached the settlement. That's when I pledged it, right then.
And you say this because you, quote, wanted nothing, end quote.
That is correct.
But you hadn't donated your entire $7 million settlement to charity at that point, had you?
That's incorrect.
Sitting here today, Ms. Heard, you still haven't donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity. Isn't that right?
Incorrect. I pledged the entirety of the
Ms. Heard,
settlement, $7
that's not
million
my
to
question.
charity, and I
Heard,
intend to
Ms.
fulfill
Heard,
those obligations.
Ms. Heard, that's not my question. Please,
What was
try
your
to answer
question?
my question. Sitting here today, you have not donated the $7 million, donated, not pledged, donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity.
I use pledge and donation synonymous with one another. They're
But I
the same
don't.
thing.
Ms. Heard, I don't use it synonymously.
That's how donations are paid.
Ms. Heard, respectfully, that's not my question. As of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the ACLU. Yes or no?
I have not yet.
And as of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, correct?
I have not yet. Johnny sued me.
So as of today, you have not donated, paid $7 million of your divorce settlement to charity, right?
I have not been able to fulfill those obligations yet.
And that's because you did want something, didn't you?
I didn't want anything and I didn't get anything.
So you made this sworn statement on February 26, 2020.
That's correct.
And directing your attention to paragraph 4, it says, quote, I remained financially independent from him the whole time we were together, and the entire amount of my divorce settlement was donated to charity, end quote.
That is correct.
Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
The him you were referring to is Mr. Depp.
That is correct.
Most of the money that was donated to the ACLU and CHLA in your name came from someone else. Isn't that right?
I don't know what you mean by most of.
Well, at least $500,000 that was donated to the ACLU in your name wasn't paid by you, right?
I believe Elon made a donation in my honor on one of the years.
Yeah, and it didn't come out of your $7 million divorce settlement, right?
No, nor did it count towards my pledge.
And at least $500,000 that was donated to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles in your name wasn't paid by you either.
Right, those were made at the same time.
And it didn't come out of your $7 million divorce settlement.
Nor did it count to my 3.5 obligation.
Those $500,000 payments came from your new boyfriend, Elon Musk, right?
I don't know if he was a new boyfriend at the time.
You got him to pay part of what you promised to these two charities, didn't you?
Incorrect.
Because you wanted to keep at least some of the $7 million divorce settlement for yourself, right?
You're very wrong about that.
I have a lot of relatives. People will talk if they see us together again.
Let's get it this time. Morning. There you go.
Morning. How are you? Morning. How you doing? Thank you. Thanks, James.
Welcome, ladies. Morning.
How are you?
I am harassed, humiliated, threatened every single day. Even just walking into this courtroom, sitting here in front of the world, having the worst parts of my life, things that I've lived through, used to humiliate me. People want to kill me, and they tell me so every day. People want to put my baby in the microwave, and they tell me that.
Ms. Heard, you just testified that this case has been very hard for you. So let's talk about that and why.
All right.
Your lies have been exposed to the world multiple times, right?
I haven't lied about anything I've been here to say.
When you told this jury under oath that you punched Mr. Depp because you thought of Mr. Depp pushing Kate Moss down the stairs, you didn't expect Ms. Moss to agree to testify that that never happened, did you?
Incorrect. I know how many people will come out of the woodwork to be in support of Johnny.
So
It
you
is
think
clear
Ms.
by this
Moss
courtroom
needs
how
to
many
come
people
out
will
of the
do that.
woodwork to testify for Mr. Depp?
Everybody who was around in the 90s and the early aughts knew that rumor. I had heard that rumor from multiple people. Of course, that's what flashed through my head when my violent husband not only swung for me, but all of a sudden swung for my sister. Of course I thought of that. I did not expect her to show up or not expect her to show up. It didn't matter. It doesn't change what I believed at the time when we were on the stairs and I thought he was going to kill my sister by pushing her down the stairs.
You told this jury under oath that Mr. Depp was aggressive and trashed a trailer in Hicksville. You didn't expect the manager of the Hicksville property, Morgan Knight, to come forward and testify that that was untrue, did you?
Incorrect. I've already been through trials with this man. I know how many people will come out in support of him.
When you told this jury under oath that you had no idea that the paparazzi would be at the courthouse on May 27th, 2016, you didn't expect a TMZ employee to show up to testify that TMZ had been alerted that you would be at the courthouse and knew exactly which side of your face to take a picture of, did you?
I know how many people will come out and say whatever for him. That's his power. That's why I wrote the op-ed. I was speaking to that phenomenon. How many people will come out in support of him and will fall to his power?
Mr. Depp, what has it been like for you to listen to Ms. Heard's testimony at this trial?
I'm sorry?
What has it been like for you to listen to Ms. Heard's testimony at this trial?
Objection relevance, Your Honor.
Oh, overruled.
Insane. It's insane to hear heinous accusations of violence, sexual violence, that she's attributed to me, that she's accused me of. I don't think anyone enjoys having to split themselves open and tell the truth. But there are times when one just simply has to, because it's gotten out of control. Horrible. Ridiculous, humiliating, ludicrous, painful, savage, unimaginably brutal, cruel, and all false. All false. No human being is perfect, certainly not. None of us. But I have never in my life committed sexual battery, physical abuse, all these outlandish, outrageous stories of me committing these things and living with it for 6 years and waiting to be able to bring the truth out. So this is not easy for any of us. I know that. But no matter what happens, I did get here, and I did tell the truth, and I have spoken up for what I've been carrying on my back reluctantly for 6 years.
What is at stake in this trial is a man's good name. Even more than that, what is at stake at this trial is a man's life. The life that he lost when he was accused of a heinous crime, and the life he could live when he is finally vindicated. Exactly 6 years ago today, on May 27th, 2016, Ms. Heard walked into court and filed a false report of domestic abuse against her husband of 15 months, Johnny Depp. The scene was a setup. She tipped off the paparazzi so they would be waiting. They knew exactly where she would pause, which side of her face to photograph. And the photos captured what she wanted them to see, the image of a battered woman. What the paparazzi did not know is that the dark mark on her face mysteriously appeared 6 days after last seeing Mr. Depp.
But your key question to answer is, does the First Amendment give Ms. Heard the right to write the words that she wrote in this article on December 18th, 2018? That's the question. And you cannot simultaneously protect and uphold the First Amendment and find in favor of Johnny Depp on his claim. You simply cannot. Ladies and gentlemen, these words are a window into the heart and mind of America's favorite pirate. This is the real Johnny Depp.
All right. Mr. Foreperson, is this the verdict of the jury? Yes. All right. Is it unanimous? Yes. Thank you, sir. Jamie?
In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Mr. Depp's claim against Ms. Heard. 1. As to the statement appearing in the online op-ed entitled, "Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change," in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, "I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change," end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of this statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 2. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled A Transformative Moment for Women in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition. Quote, then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled A Transformative Moment for Women in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition. Quote, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of this statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million.